why Mel Lewis said that is because, see, he took my place when I came down the first time to see Max. And I stayed over, Max Roach was staying on Green Street in Brooklyn at the time. And in fact, that was the first time that Max had, at that time I think he had married. His first marriage, you know, which I don't think lasted too long. But anyhow, I was also, like I have a dedication to Max because he also, took me under his wings. Like, to answer your question, Max came to Buffalo with Charlie Parker, and Max didn't have a bass drum at the time, and they were looking, and the secretary of the union was calling all around. So, to make a long story short, they got a hold of me, and I happened to have two, bass drums at the time. But anyhow, I loaned Max my bass drum, and he told me, come down to Memorial Auditorium. He says, and as soon as the job is over, he says, I'll give you your drum back, and I loaned him my drum. Now, 2 years, 2 years or 1 year, I don't know, 1 or 2 years after that was when I come down to New York, and Max was in 52nd Street, and I went down, and he remembered me. That made me feel so good too, because he's just like Krupa. He's another one that, that I, had great admiration for, and who, I had influenced me. And he took me over to Brooklyn, my first night in New York, and he was playing at the Three Deuces and that's Miles Davis. It was Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, Tommy Potter, right, and Duke Jordan. That was the group. Yeah. And Ella Fitzgerald was across the street at Kelly's Stables.
Yeah.
you know 52nd Street, So anyhow, Max, he remembered. The first thing he remembered, because as far as my playing was concerned, he had never heard me play.
Yeah. All
he knew was that I was a drummer. I loaned him my drum in Buffalo.
Right.
And he came out of the place and he saw me. Hey, he said, "How you doing?" And he couldn't even think of my name then. I had to tell him, my name. He said, "Yeah, Buffalo." He says, "Oh man," he says, "you did me great favor, man." He says, "Look, well, what do you?" He says, "Come hang out with me." He says, and he says, "Come." He said, "What is? Look, he says, come and stay." He says, "Come on." He says, where you?" I says, "Well, I'm staying with my cousin, Now he says, it wasn't I didn't have a place to stay, He says, "Oh man," he says, he knew it was my first time in New York. He knew, and I went over to Brooklyn, stayed over his house 3 days.
Wow!
And he got the drums out. Like I said, he had never heard me play.
Yeah.
And he got a practice pad, and he started to, do a few things, and I started to do single stroke rolls and double strokes, and he used to see, and he was like correcting me on my hands, showing me how to get more power, but to answer your question again, it wasn't a thing where I stayed in New York and I actually studied with him, but he just, he gave me some, showed me some stuff that helped me in coordination.